This is the Lowco Hoops Report, powered by LowcoSports.com and 843 Sport. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, Lowco Hoops fans. Welcome to another edition of the Lowco Hoops Report, talking hoops here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. I'm your host, Justin Jarrett, flying solo this week. Wes Kerr had a little medical procedure, and he is sitting out this week, but he'll be back in the game, back in the studio next week to talk some hoops and get back on the Lowco Sports Lowdown podcast. So a little scaled-down version of the show for you today with myself just flying solo. We don't need any witty banter amongst myself. So we're going to get into it real quick here. We'll recap a few things that happened over the past week since we last came to you, including the Colleton Prep Holiday Tournament up in Walterboro, where Hilton Head Christian Academy's boys made it to the championship game and fell to Orangeburg Prep. Buford Academy's boys went 2-1 after losing their opener to Orangeburg Prep. And then over on the girls' side, we had a couple of teams playing as well. Did not fare quite as well with the local girls in that tournament, but the boys had a nice week. And then we also had some other teams out on the road playing tournaments. Whale Branch going 2-0 up at the Trojan Classic. The girls, Bluffton's girls went 1-1 in that tournament, losing to the host Northwestern. So we had some great tournament action going on this past week. Hilton Head Christian Academy's girls picking up a couple of W's over teams from Savannah, Islands, and Richmond Hill coming over, and the Eagles taking one from each of them. So lots of great stuff happening on the hoops floor this week, but a little different show. We're going to talk with our friends Rob Benson and Mike Kenan from out at H2 Basketball and 843 Sport. Just kick it around a little bit about what we've seen so far this season and what we expect in the second half of the year. We'll get to our conversation with Mike and Rob right after these messages from our sponsors here on the Lowco Hoops Report.
Hey, Lowco athletes. The Lowco Hoops Report is powered by 843 Sport. No matter the sport, if you're looking to take your game to the next level, 843 Sport is your one-stop shop on the way to success. Located off Arden Road in Okatee, 843 Sport has brought a powerhouse team under one roof as the new home of H2 Basketball, Seaside Volleyball Club, Gunner Strength Club, and Marlin Klein Sports Performance Academy, with more to come. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at 843 Sport and get in the game.
Hey, Lowco sports fans, do you need a new roof? Have you considered scrapping the shingles and going with metal? If not, you ought to give 4M Metals a call. They've been serving the Lowco since 2006, and they can outfit your home with a metal roof that will provide better energy efficiency and weather protection while adding a beautiful design element that will last up to 3 times longer than traditional shingles. Plus, it's the environmentally friendly choice. So head over to 4mmetals.com and let them be the difference in your roof. Hey, Lowco sports fans, you know we're all about keeping it local, and that goes for pizza night too. When you've got a craving for the best pie in town or the best kept secret, their amazing mac and cheese, keep it local with Local Pie. They have 2 locations on the Promenade in Bluffton and on New Orleans Road on HHI, where they serve up incredible wood-fired pizza featuring regionally sourced ingredients, and they're committed to giving back to the community and protecting the environment. So when it's time for takeout, keep it local with Local Pie, a proud sponsor of Lowco Sports. We got a couple special guests hanging with me today. I'm on vacation, but still ready to talk some hoops with my guys Rob Benson and Mike Kenan from H2 Hoops. And you guys have been doing great work. Everybody knows what you guys have been doing over at H2 and now out at 843 Sport. But Mike, we haven't had you on the show before, so introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your role with H2 and how you got involved with Rob and what's been happening over there, man. It's an exciting time for you guys.
It definitely is. I mean, it was. Me and Rob go back a little ways now. It's been definitely a couple of years. I mean, I basically focus on player development for H2. Do a lot of coaching over there, so I'm kind of wear a lot of hats. But it's exciting. I mean, the transition from COVID time to 843 Sports it's been a whirlwind, been a good one.
Yeah, no doubt. And Rob, you've been around this area for a while, seeing the hoops growing, and obviously bringing Mike into the fold has been huge for you guys. But talk a little bit about what he brings to the table and what you guys have been able to build over there these past couple of years.
Yeah, Mike and I met organically via work situation, and literally didn't know our daughters really played ball. So it was a really good thing because there was no previous sort of agendas or motivations. We just didn't like the direction of grassroots ball in the Low Country per se. And so we had ideas and we started talking, and he's really been, my sounding board and my right hand guy, and really the H2 like driving force on the court for us from the beginning, from the open runs and COVID and all that to he coached our original 17s team. He's the Lowco 2024 fall team as well. So like he gets it done in a lot of ways for us. He's an exceptionally skilled trainer, but he's just great with the kids. Like they all like him. They all want access to him, and he has a real knack for building kids the right way. Putting fundamentals at the fore, and then as they master that stuff, then they can move on to some of the heavier stuff, and of course he's the testament would be his daughter Devin, who's one of the finer point guards in the area, boys or girls really, right? So so he's done really great work, and I can't thank him enough. Really, it's impossible. It would be impossible, absolutely impossible. So without him.
Yeah. I hear you, man. And Micah, Rob filled us in a little bit on some of your background. I know some of it you can't tell us or you'd have to kill us, but tell us a little bit about your journey. And, obviously you were a big time baller, went some different routes, and now you kind of found your way back to the game as far as a career goes. But take us through your journey a little bit, as much as you're comfortable, without having to get us in trouble with
Well, more of I would say, being born and raised in Philadelphia, basketball is just a big thing. You can't get around that. I have so many of my siblings. I come from a really big family where basketball has always been first. So you kind of grow up with the basketball in the crib situation. I took a different route, but obviously I have some overseas experience as far as playing for myself, and coaching kind of came in later. When I first got back out of the military, you do stuff like just charity work and coaching in the neighborhood, and became more addictive. This is like before my girl obviously took to basketball, and basically, from there, from Virginia to coming down here to Hilton Head, it's always been something that I've basically, they say, if basketball's in your blood, you can't run from it. I found my way back because it keeps calling me back. Which has been really, really nice. Really, Hilton Head has been a lot different situation than Virginia. Coming down this particular way is so much potential and so much opening to kind of do it the right way, versus trying to correct, situations that were already flawed, let's say. But it's been really different. My background is, I always tell people, as far as basketball is concerned, you could pretty much name it. From playing the game to about 5 years old, to coaching people who've been 5 years old to 15, to all-stars, to college players. It's been around me all the time, so I've never been able to run from the game. Let's say that.
Yeah, no question. It keeps pulling you back. No matter when you think you're out, it keeps pulling you back in, right?
Right.
Well, you were obviously over at Hilton Head Christian Academy for the Eagles, playing a couple of tough opponents from Georgia this week. Nice wins over Islands and Richmond Hill. Have to be happy with that, especially coming off 3 weeks off. But talk a little bit about what you've seen, from this Hilton Head Christian girls team, as well as some of the other teams that you've seen around the area.
Just, as far as Hilton Head Christian go, it was, that 3 week hiatus. You never want to see a team come off of 3 weeks where other teams are getting, kind of getting themselves into 7-8 games. I can't be nothing but impressed. Coming off 3 weeks, coming into big Georgia schools, still performing, still winning. Things that there were earlier, things like chemistry and things like that, it seemed like it's worked itself out. The kids are wonderful. So they've been working really, really hard on getting, they're pretty much getting to where they need to be. You're hoping that they really hit their stride in about a couple of weeks, but we'll see that. with some big games coming up, against Calvary and obviously Cardinal Newman down the road here in the mid January. But can't be more happier than where we are right now. As far as HACA, very big fan of. Actually, I've been a really big fan of Hilton Head Prep. Believe it or not, I've watched a lot of. I got a chance to see a lot of their games earlier. Obviously, working with some of their kids. Love what they did against Northwood. I really felt like they. Northwood being a team that people in South Carolina would respect. They've really, really challenged them, and I expect them to obviously get better over the year and actually make a little bit of a name for themselves. But as far as my H2 players all over the place, from Buford to, I can't be happier than the results where we are so far, and obviously being a little bit with 843 sports and everything else. I'm expecting some really big years over the next couple of years from these players because they really did a lot of growth. I mean, you can't mention a team that they're on that they're not one of the main players.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps showing up everywhere we look. Every time we talk about somebody, it's Rob chiming in with, one of our H2 kids. So that's great to see, and we've talked a lot about just sort of the growth across the board. The level of play has risen a little bit. Have you seen that in the time you've been in this area? I know Rob has talked about it a good bit, but would you agree with that too, Mike? Have you guys both seen the level of play just rise over the past few years?
Yes, I would say. It's kind of what's kind of different is first of all is exposure to what top level basketball is, and without teams like H2 and things like that, it was always, if you got all the way up to Columbia, I guess. But for the most part, a lot of the kids here didn't know, in order to get better, you need to know what you're up against, so getting a chance to see that type of atmosphere has caused these kids to know what the work is. Obviously, my big focus is with all of them is to train like college players. If you're going to play college, you might as well start training like it now. But it's a very, very good that younger group, I would say from 2026 to 2024 is pretty much, besides some other players over the years, probably the most basketball kids, real basketball kids in this area with a lot of potential, so we'll definitely get a chance to see the level of basketball, the level of players, how many kind of grow over the next couple of years.
Well, we apologize for any sound problems we're having today. We're all scrambling during the holidays. I'm in a rental house. Rob's in the car, so apologies about the sound. But Rob, hop in here, man. You've seen a lot of basketball over the last couple of weeks since we had you on the show. What have you been seeing out there?
Oh man, I've seen tons of games. You know me, I'm in the gym at night. Last night we were out. I was actually out at Christian's, first time getting to see them play this year, which is always great. That 2024 backcourt of Devin Yard and Maya Hutchinson they're literally ridiculous. And I've gotten to see them, more than our share because they're their H2 backcourt as well. Last night they got to play a couple kids from Richmond Hill, who also play for us or have played for us. And so then we all went out to One Hot Mamas afterwards. So that's sort of what I'm liking about the area most right now is all the friends we've made at all the different gyms and all the different people who are, outside of the field of competition or the court of competition who, respect each other's grind and sort of are all on the same page. So that was a lot of fun. Christian's really, really good. I mean, I think from what I heard, that was about the best they've played. They're really good chiming in, there's a lot out there. A lot of people have been off. Bluffton had their first loss of the year in the tournament and got literally blitzed by almost 30. There's real positives there. That sophomore class with Koya Hayward and Maddie Washington really coming on strong. I do not think Katie Rodney was at that event. Which is one of the reasons Amira Brown, who's a 7th grader who plays for us, plays on our 2026, right? Is in the backcourt with PJ. They are they're just all ready, right? They've been playing all year long. They've been playing against each other. Amira Brown, 7th grader, has been going against Devin, right? PJ's been getting her head against these kids for years. The kids who get after it really are showing up, and it's been wonderful to see. Whale Branch got back on the winning streak a little bit over the last couple of days. Ridgeland Hardyville is surprisingly amassing wins, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think Coach Janie Hodges is doing good work there. But I mean, honestly, not only is Christian talented, they ran their sets a lot better than anyone else I've seen all year. They were crisp on inbounds. They were crisp on offense. Everyone purposefully cut looking for the ball. I mean, it was sort of a different beast last night. So to say that wasn't impressive, because really Richmond Hill is going into 7A in Georgia. And they were not remotely competitive in any way, shape, or form. So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, the area is getting better. That's all there is to it, especially on the girls' side of things. The holiday tournaments are always fun too. I mean, on the boys' side, I think we've gotten a couple of teams off the schneid that were having a hard time. We're still waiting on Battery to, settle in and all that. But for the most part, I'd say this season's coming along really well for the top-notch kids. They're still, they're really getting an opportunity to shine. And that's sort of where we are on it. A couple of teams have been off for a little bit. I saw where, BA got blitzed by Stahl and then came back and had a nice win. So, I don't know if we even talked about the Whale Branch Battery Creek game where little Genesis, put the 3 in on late in the game, and she's a 2025 who played for us. So there's just a lot of kids who are starting to step up, and they're younger kids. You can see it. It's not, remember when we called the 2024s younger? Well, they're still young. They're sophomores, but they're by far the best in the area. And now you've got like 7th and 8th graders who are the next best. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I've got the leaf blower right outside the window right now, so it could be very loud on my end. Everybody on Hilton Head's familiar with the leaf blower. There's nothing you can do.
Sure.
Well, another one of your girls, Morgan Scott, continues to put up nice numbers, and they got a nice win over Hanahan last night. That's a team that is always a work in progress. I love what Jermaine does over there. They're always going to give you tough defense and keep it low scoring and give themselves a chance, but do they have some more young talent coming up through the pipeline? Are they going to have anything coming behind to help out the outstanding sophomore with Morgan, or is it kind of pipeline drying up after that?
Takai, remember Takai DeVore?
Oh yeah,
her little sister plays for him.
Okay.
And I have no idea if she's any good, but I just thought that was an interesting note because good Lord, her sister could go, right? They're in a shortage of guards. When they get pressed, they move Morgan back to a guard now. And she's actually handling it very, very well. One of Mike's goals, and this is sort of what he does with us as we talk, you want to honor kids' ceilings. High school coaches get caught up in, hey, I'm supposed to be winning games, and in a lot of cases playing kids with seniority over like the real dogs. And so one of the things we wanted to make sure is just because, for example, Morgan has been a world-class kid in this area for a long time, but as a big, that we were still training her up as a guard so that if she were not to grow anymore, that she would have that skill level to be a wing at the next level, right? And so we've started to see that a little with May Rivers. So despite her not having a ton around her, we're really sort of seeing her skill set that we've actually worked on expand. And Mike's, that's to his credit. I think I was telling everyone at dinner last night, I saw her reset versus a press in one of the games we went to last week, and it's just something that she never would have done in the past. It's always would have been a bull in China shop situation. Instead, she had patience. She reset. She looked for her outlet. Then she got the ball back. Then she beeline for it. So like, there's just growth there, and there's a recognition, and her skill levels improved a lot. In terms of getting to your question, I don't see a ton in the pipeline there. Yeah, unfortunately, or at least that we've seen out there competitively or that runs with us. They seem very limited. I mean, like we've talked about before, I think in the first pod, she's got to be responsible for like 60-70% of their offense, right?
Yeah, it's a significant number to say the least.
Yeah.
A couple other kids stepped up last night. That was good to see. Morgan Cronus had a nice game. Kennedy Palmer's still giving them some pretty good minutes and developing a little bit as a guard. So, they I think they're going to get by okay. But yeah, just not a lot of other options. If you got somebody who can kind of neutralize Morgan, they're going to have some trouble, I think. But let's talk a little bit about that Benson team. Obviously the loss to Northwestern was lopsided and not good, but then to be able to come back and get one the next day against Fort Mill was a good sign. And I know Sequoia didn't play as much AAU this year, focused on track and field and stuff, but what have you seen from her, a kid that we've watched since she was in 8th grade? Are you starting to see the growth that you would expect from her as she comes into her own as a high school player?
I've always been a big fan of Sequoia. I always tell people like Sequoia is probably one of the best floor leaders.
Yeah.
Before you get into all the skill and things like that, she's a great floor leader. Very, very tough kid. As far as growth and things like that, I mean, she's a track and field kid as well in the summertime. Always going to be a big time athlete. It comes down to, when it comes down to Sequoia, I don't mind that, but I don't know if basketball's first.
Yeah.
But as far as a floor leader, a great player, she's over there with Maddie Washington, and I've always told people Maddie has, I spotted her like 3 years ago saying she has the best feet of any forward in this area, period. But Sequoia's one of those people where you're always going to say a point guard first has to be a winner. And she's going to be one of those that's always going to keep her team basically in the game. You're never going to see her get to the point where it's just going to be too much for her. So I've always been a big Sequoia fan. It's going to be really interesting to see, how much skill development, how much is it basketball first for her down the road.
Yeah, and I mean that's a tough decision for a lot of kids, especially when you're at that level in multiple sports. It's tough to kind of choose your path. You don't know where the opportunities may lie a couple years down the road, so you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket necessarily. And she's a tremendous track athlete, so you definitely understand you want to keep that going too. Let's talk a little bit about the guys because Hilton Head Christian's guys in particular are a team that we haven't got to see a lot of. They backloaded the schedule because of the football situation, which was probably smart. Jace Blackshear still coming back from injury and some different guys in and out. But they've shown a little bit, and especially at this Colleton Prep tournament this week, they were pretty nice. They got a couple nice wins, got to the championship game, fought back and lost a close game to Orangeburg Prep. You guys have gotten a chance to look at them. I know you guys like Jason Grunkmeyer a lot. So tell me a little bit about that team and what you're thinking about them going into the second half of the season here.
Well, that's going to all come down to, right, I think they have a lot of particular talent. I'm a big fan of their coach, so I know where they are now is not where they're going to be. Obviously, missing a few players also hurts when you're missing them in the backcourt of all things. That's a team that say athletically, height-wise, depending where they are in about 5 to 7 games, missing some guards. I really see Christian being one of those teams that sneakily in the end of the season has a little bit more wins and a little bit more competitive than what we're seeing currently right now. And that's just because, it's a rough situation in some of the private schools, great coach, but you don't have the same type of, let's say, off season coming into the season. You got players that are still playing football. That's just life around here. And then it's, if you have an injury or two and then trying to get that chemistry that you need to be able to compete in this area, it's a little bit of a slower process. So you never really want to waste let's say you don't want to have to do that during the first 8 games. Yeah. They're just one of the teams that's going to have to do it during the season. Yeah. So it'll be somebody I really see them pretty much about 10 games from now being a little bit more what I expected them to be.
All right, we lost Rob. What else do you want to talk about?
You know what? Buford Academy's boys.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
To be very honest, Devin, a few of them.
He's nice.
Listen, they have a lot of good talent over there. some people that I wish I get a chance to, some boys I really wish I get a chance to work with, but him showed a lot in that game the other day. It's nothing worse than being an 8th grader thrown into the point guard position.
Yeah, right. But he did tremendous work out there, and he's, man. I mean, I got to see him a little bit against Bluffton in the second half of that game, and like he's just fearless, just absolutely fearless, and he can put it up and in from anywhere. It's like Iverson-esque how he can get it up from some crazy angles and get it
still make a shot. You know what shocked me about him is besides how good he is, I mean the fact that how hard and how long he can play. You know, you don't see a lot of 7th, 8th graders great conditioning. You know, one of the things that's hard to really judge is the fact that some of our players are really good for 15 minutes and need a big break. And you lose a lot of close games in high school when you can't play your main players but so long. Yeah. I mean, the kid showed a lot of gas yesterday. He didn't really run out. He went 32 minutes. He didn't and he looked the same in the fourth quarter. You know, and that's hard to do.
He went 32 minutes. He was the second leading scorer, got after it on defense all night, delivering great passes all night. I mean, what more can you ask from an 8th grade point guard who's played sparing minutes all season to hop in there against a region opponent and do that for you? That's a fantastic sign. I'm with you. I love that team. There's something going on there that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And Nick has done a great job of getting them to buy into philosophically, we're going to deserve to win every game and we're going to get after it. And I just love everything he's doing there. There's a good vibe around that team.
Really, really good vibe. I mean, the talent is definitely there, but the team, the team little fundamentals and things like that. I mean, it's really, really impressive. I really think, I'm going to be really, really looking at where they're going to be in about, at the end of this season going into the playoffs. I really think they really could make a lot of noise.
And only a couple of seniors, and neither one of them is really a key contributor. Everybody's playing a role, obviously, but neither is a big piece. They're guys that can, you can slot somebody else in there. So I like the future for that program. Obviously, you never know who's going to end up somewhere else from year to year and those kind of things. But it seems like the chemistry, the vibe is really positive. So I don't see them losing anybody. And in fact, they may end up being an attractive destination. A couple of people too. So. Yeah, I'm excited about them for sure. I'm excited for Nick because he's a good dude and has paid his dues around here and finally getting the opportunity as a head coach and proving that he knows what he's talking about. So that's always a good thing. And, I think that Region 7 4A boys is going to be interesting. Hilton Head showing that they've still got a little bit. They're not as explosive as they were last year, but they buy into Shane's defense and play hard. And they've got a lot of interchangeable parts. Buford, obviously, boys are really strong. That front court is impressive. James Island and Lucy Beckham are both good this year. Colleton County even is a team that has a couple of streaky shooters who can get hot and scare you any given night. I mean, there's some dudes in that league, and it's really pretty evenly balanced. I think it's going to be fun to watch them go at it night after night.
And like you said, it's really, really, really evenly balanced. And that's what makes it exciting because it's like, you sometimes you can kind of know the front runner. Yeah. The front runner and maybe a team or two that can challenge them. I don't think nobody basketball-wise can look at any of these teams and really, really figure out where we're going to be at, come February. So that's what makes the boys league really, really nice. Though it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very fun to watch. But definitely excited for Nick. I really think he got a real good chance. I'm actually surprised. I mean, really, to tell you the truth, I'm kind of surprised, kind of like the Christian thing when it came down to the girls, the chemistry on Hilton Head Prep.
Yeah.
Kind of questioning that a little bit because I feel like they should be a little bit, it's early in the season, but probably a little bit better than they're kind of putting out.
Yeah, they've easily taken care of the people they're supposed to easily take care of, and they haven't been able to get over the hump against the teams that are kind of, in between. But, there's so much talent there. You have to feel like that's going to kind of sort itself out. But I know there's the one basketball is always a problem, and you got a lot of guys who are playing the same role there. So it can be a little tricky. And like you said, you guys have dealt with that a little at times with the Hilton Head Christian girls, where you've got too many mouths to feed. But you seem to have figured it out this year. Hopefully, Hilton Head Prep boys can get that sorted out too.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, you got to convince the hardest part about convincing a really talented team, especially when you have kids transitioning from I want to play high school and I want to play college, obviously high level of college. The hardest part that college coaches don't have to deal with as much is is how important is winning in the end. The kids have to be really one of those teams where as long as we're winning, somebody out there, somebody somewhere will kind of recognize winning over everything, So it's one of those things where, and that comes down to things like Rob do, how creative you're going to be with your schedule when you got a loaded team. How much more are you going to be willing to play the local area in other areas to make it a little bit of a less of the issue going forward. And that helps out a lot. Or, if you're going to, some of our high schools could probably, naturally, they got such great teams that they need to look at playing a little bit more of local schedule and a more of a bigger schedule.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we've seen it time and again where you test yourself early and it comes back to pay dividends for you later on. When you've seen some different looks and different styles of teams and that kind of thing, it really benefits you down the road. But welcome back, Rob. You ducked out on us there, but we were talking fellas a little bit, and Mike and I both very impressed with our guy Nick Fields' team over at BA. So we talked a little bit about baby Devin Fripp and some of the guys
baby Devin
over there.
Yeah,
baby Devin went 32 last night, brother. He had a huge game.
He played 32 minutes.
Sure did. Zeke Gonzalez,
that's wild, man.
Down.
That's wild. And that's the thing about this area, right? Like, so all summer we shared the gym with the boys and girls would basically split gyms and run side to side a lot of times. And so Amira Brown's bracket and PJ's bracket was opposite Devin's bracket all the time. So we would scrimmage at the end. And it was legitimately like these were tight games all the time, always good scrimmages. Sometimes the girls put it on the boys, sometimes the boys put it on the girls. The one real problem was little Devin. And he's a swaggy little kid. Who knows how much he grows or doesn't grow, but he has a unique sense. He plays passing lanes and gets out and has a creative layup package and can finish. And cool kid too, man. He came to Coach Jazz clinic, and it was essentially an all girls clinic. And you can tell he's just at that age where he just wants to ball, but at the same time, he was at that age where there's a room full of like 30 young girls, and he just sort of was like, I don't know if this is for me, Coach. and it was like the sweetest little conversation I had. But anyway, he's a hell of a kid, and he's going to be a great little player. And Nick's got them playing together and playing hard. I don't think they're overly talented or anything like that. They just are they play a lot together. They're sort of like prep, right? They have all that access to play whenever they play. So that they get out there and they play all the time with one another, and so I think they have very nice chemistry compared to others, and I think that hampers a place like Christian where they essentially are football first and they don't play as much, and they need a few more basketball kids. It's good to hear that Kenan isn't hurt, isn't down for too terribly long. He'll be back this week. Yeah, so he's one of the brighter spots in the area in terms of a creative offensive talent. So good to see him back at it. I mean, I think in terms of the boys, this area is really interesting. I think Wales still trying to play pretty strong. They were going pretty hard. Blockers had a nice year. I think, May Rivers up and down, but he's certainly a dynamic offensive talent as well. It's just right now, I think what you're getting to is you're now through the holidays, right? Or roughly through the pre-holiday schedule. So you have a lot of teams that now have played tournaments real quickly. And so there's a lot that are now black and blue and are more like 5-4, 6-3, or 3-6 than maybe we had discussed before. So, it's good, like Mike said, to get out and play different teams and see what it is and what it isn't. I mean, I'm sure Bluffton, for as much success on the girls' side as they have around here, were pretty darn shocked by what they saw versus Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. They now know
Yes.
what they're up against, what it is. They're getting a kid while Katie's down, a kid like Amira Brown, some time, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Boys side, similar. I mean, prep is the one thing that they have to deal with, I believe, at prep is the Sean Cusano kid. He's a good 6'7", and he's a skilled kid, but he's definitively not a post kid.
Yeah.
And so if they're going to kind of do the round peg in a square hole sort of thing, or whatever that expression is, Justin, if you know what that is.
I think it's a square peg in a round hole, but
okay. As long as we're all on the same page. That's what I was
either way,
for.
Same point.
It doesn't fit, really.
Right.
And so what they need to do is let that kid face more and be more creative. I think that's one of the things I've seen across the season, boys and girls, right? This is System O. It's all about the coaches. There's very little like high pick and roll, get a foot in the lane, get numbers, and make the right decision. On the girls' side, everyone's playing for a layup, my friends. Everyone. No one's allowing. Christian's the first one who's like, hey, your kids are open from 3, bang it.
Yeah.
They probably, Christian, I think last night probably had on the girls' side, probably 11. I think Skylar Smith had 3 herself. Devin had at least a couple. Maya had a couple. So, I think that teams like that have kids that are skilled and trained and have the coach's trust, and they're allowed to open it up. Sometimes their worst shot is better than other kids' best. Why are you continually dumping to the block to get a look that's within 2 feet from a kid who can't make it 2 feet away? So I would like to see more creativity offensively around here. I'd like to see more high pick and roll action. I mean, that's what we ultimately play out there, right? To a certain degree, especially on the boys' side at a higher level. So I think, I think we've got creative, good athletes in the area, some of which are very trained up, a lot of which are playing mechanically in the high school setting.
I think you might like Buford High's boys. I think they run a lot of high posts through Zyron. He's averaging 5 or 6 assists a game.
See, I haven't seen them yet, and I do
he's
like
not
the
a
roster.
point guard, so I think they're running a lot through the high post and through the wing through him.
Nice.
And then they've got other bigs like the Dennisons. They're cutting. So I think you're going to like them. I think you'll like what they run.
Yeah, I mean they're very
it helps
talented.
when you got 3 guys who are 6'5",
Yeah, they're big. I mean, they're big and they're good. They're the best team in the area, I would say. I mean, I don't think that they've really. I don't see anyone who's got the size to hang with them. And Zyron's a different level athlete.
Legs. Like they were playing football until December, all 3 of those guys. So all their starters.
And I mean, Zyron's a whole kind of athlete.
Whew.
You know what I mean? So I mean, this is one of these things you get to between public and private ball. Like prep's really, really good, but I think this was one of these things we got involved with in a conversation online, Justin, where someone came in and essentially was like, the
best front court in the
best front court in the area, and it was like, ooh, I don't necessarily think so. So
not until you go up against Odom, Dennison, and an Odom.
Then you get to see athletic real quick. And how that closes the gap. Maybe these kids like basketball more, but again, like athleticism's a real deal, and it's incredibly tough to compensate for. It's like, the press, right? Like if you have athletic kids and you're running the press, well, how do you practice against it if you don't have those kids to mimic it?
Yeah.
So I think that, Buford High's front line is really tough to deal with around here.
Yeah, the guard plays a little shaky, but they'll get Jake Alvarez back, and that will help. But, I mean, again, Zyron's not bringing it up, but he's essentially running the point once they get in the half court. So.
No, and he gets out, and he's like one of those kids. I remember last year versus Bluffton, I think he led the break, right? It was like a 1-on-2, and he split him with the Euro, but like covered probably 15 feet with one step.
Yeah.
And finished at the rim, and I was like, ooh, that was something right there, like and you see that every now and then. You're like, whoa, that they need to let people who do stuff like that. Not necessarily I want kids going off of 1 foot in the paint all the time, right? If ever. But for the most part, you want to see you want to see kids be able to do what their God-given abilities are to do. I don't want to see stuff dumbed down because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying play ISO ball. I'm anti-ISO ball at the high school level. I just think that you can give the green light to kids who have an open look and say, hey, don't dump. When we saw, ask Mike, the Northwood game, Prep versus Northwood in girls, right? Prep kind of had them. I mean, it was always close to where it could go either way, but Prep, you had the feeling that they were just going to prevail a good portion of the game. Now, there was some things with the press that went awry late in the fourth quarter and all of that. But one of the things I felt like they weren't able to do, I didn't feel like the Prep guards were able to launch at will. We've seen them bang many open, threes and open run consecutively on back-to-back possessions. And then to see them shoot 2 or 3 threes over the course of a game when they're open at the stripe doesn't make that much sense to me. And then the other side of it is that, again, some of those kids are like really intuitive high-low passers, but who you going to? Like, if you can't finish around the rim, I'd rather have you shoot that 15-footer. So maybe more recognition about where the talent levels are and getting them shot.
He hit on something there too, because you don't see you kind of hurt your really super talented players when you got those situations like the Northwood game with Prep was. You can tell like they were still running just their sets instead of saying this is winning time like you would see in a NBA or something like that, where the sets is going to be, hey, this is my best 2 players down that 2-minute stretch. We're gonna run some things that's going to get them the shots, towards the game. You don't really see that too much, but it hurts their development. It does, only because they need those situations and things like that. And probably would have changed everything with that Northwood game, to be honest.
Yeah, just let Courtney take over and go get her thing, and if they triple her, then find somebody else. Put it in your best kid's hands. I hear you, because they're definitely going to throw the house at them, and you got to come up with something a little different. You can't just walk in there with the same thing you've been running all game when you need that one bucket at the end. So, yeah, I mean, learning process too. First time head coach, starting to.
Well, I don't
big game situations, and
that's not a shot at Phil, right? Like, Phil's doing a hell of a job towards their culture,
absolutely,
and making them, more of a factor moving forward. I think really it's sort of low country wide, and by that I mean there's not. For the longest time, a lot of these kids didn't train to raise yourself out of the mud. You had to do it yourself, and especially on the girls' side, you better hope you have an older brother who's kicking your butt on the playground, right? Because there wasn't, intuitive training that was going on all the time, or this, that, and the other. And we're still very new, to providing this for the area, And so I think what you don't have is a huge trust level amongst coaches and their kids, right? In terms of what their abilities are and what they're able to do. And that's probably rightfully so, because there haven't been a lot of skilled up kids, in the past. So now you're looking at, like I said, everyone's playing for a layup especially in girls ball, because you're like, well, that's the best chance of getting the bucket. I don't think it is with certain kids. I think, it's time to recognize who actually, and find them the ball. And the same definitely applies on the boys' side. I just think a lot of that gets to be chemistry with boys. Especially some of the more talented teams, they're redundant. How many, and this is obviously sort of a Prep reference, but across the board, it's the same way. Like, everyone's a guard and everyone's 5'10" around here. So with that being said, your 6'4" kids are already on the floor. Your big time scorers are already on the floor. It's a matter of getting them the ball when it matters and recognizing that they've put in work. And that's the way, you're going to win. It's not going to be off of some revolutionary set where you break someone free to hit a 16-footer who doesn't shoot the ball ever. Or trying to then force it down low to a kid who really can't convert. And that's the thing. So I think you're seeing that more with Bluffton, for example, like Linder. He's starting to get off more finally. Uniquely talented kid, very athletic, but now he's actually putting up points, right? because that's what their option is to do. So I just, as long as we're, kind of feeding the kids who play year round and giving them, opportunities late, I think, we're on the right track. All about system basketball, but it has to lean towards the bucket getters, towards the kids who actually are efficient, right?
Yeah, you have to find ways to run it through them. I mean, it's high school basketball. You don't get to recruit your personnel. You've got to roll with what you got. So, sometimes the personnel doesn't fit the system, and you got to reverse engineer it. But no, I mean, I think it's been a great season so far, going through the holidays, and I'm excited for what's to come. I think we're going to have some great region battles. I think we have some teams who have the potential to make some noise in the playoffs, and I think we're just still kind of building the foundation here. As far as we've seen teams like Bluffton's girls year after year, get there with a high seed and not go as far as we expect them to, but they continue to kind of build off of it. And you've got this core of kids who have been there 3 or 4 times now who are going to be better prepared for it. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, but you guys have been a big part of building up the level here, the foundation, and I'm excited to see, the area get to reap the rewards of what's happening. So appreciate what you guys are doing. Appreciate you coming on to Chat Hoops, and we'll definitely do it again real soon.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks so much to Rob Benson and Mike Kenan. Thanks for what you guys are doing out at H2 and 843 Sport. And we look forward to spend some more time out there with you guys and seeing the kids continue to grow and see them go out and show out and put the Lowco on the map, man.
Hey, Justin, we'll do it again.
We'll be right back with more here on the Lowco Hoops Report.
Hey, Lowco sports fans. Looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the Low Country? Then you need to give a call over to the Gruhl Group at Keller Williams Realty. Blake Gruhl and Annie Tracy are taking care of folks' needs every day as they search for the perfect home in the Lowco, and they're here to help you too. So give the Gruhl Group a call at 843-252-3164 and see if you can find the perfect home right here in the Lowco. Hey, Lowco sports fans, if you have an investment property and you need a great management company, look no further than Heritage Realty Group. The Heritage Realty Group provides property management services throughout Beaufort and Charleston County, and their property management services are ideal for investors seeking a communicative, efficient, and transparent management company. They are reliable and they are loyal supporters of Lowco Sports. So give Heritage Realty Group a call at 843-295-0934 and let them take care of everything. Hey, Lowco sports fans, contact our friends at Hilton Head Insurance and Brokerage for all your personal insurance needs. The folks at HHIMB aren't just another insurance company. They're locals who are involved in the community and care about their neighbors, and their goal is to share their love of the Lowco while providing the best customer service possible. If that's what you look for in an insurance company, give HHIMB a call and tell them Lowco sent you. Visit them today at HiltonHeadInsuranceandBrokerage.com. Hilton Head Insurance and Brokerage, proud sponsors of Lowco Sports. Hey, Lowco sports fans, if there's a man in your life who cares about the way he looks, you should stuff his stocking with some of the top-of-the-line men's hair, skin, and beard products from Just Manly. No matter your age, skin type, or hair condition, Just Manly's premium all-natural products will upgrade your daily grooming, hair care, beard care, and skin care routines. Visit them at justmanly.com, your one-stop shop for all things man.
All right, thanks again to Rob Benson and Mike Kenan for joining us and for all the work they're putting in for local ballers, as well as other athletes out at 843 Sport. As you know, they're the presenting sponsor of this podcast, and they are doing a terrific job. They've got Nick Shappy running his Gunner Strength Club out of 843 Sport, and now they've just brought in Marwin Klein and his speed and sport training. So you can do all your training under one roof out off Argent Road at 843 Sport. Really going to try to take the student athletes to the next level here in the Lowco, so we can continue to see more of our Lowco stars going on to play in college and beyond. So thanks so much to them. Thanks so much to you for joining us for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or you can subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get a notification every time we put out a new video edition of the pod. Thanks for joining us for this one. Until next time, go Lowco.